students, welcome back. This is Arjun Gupta from St. Joseph Degree College, and in this session we are supposed to discuss regarding to indigenous banker. Before going into our major topic, first of all let us see the Indian banking structure. The Indian banking structure has been classified into two parts, organized sector and unorganized sector. The unorganized sector comprises of money lenders and indigenous bankers. The organized sector consists of commercial banks, cooperative banks, and regional rural banks. Besides the above institutions, which provide mainly short term credit to business, there are a number of specialized term lending institutions which provide long term requirements of industry, agriculture, and foreign trade. Post Office Savings Bank, which is 120-year old, is another segment of banking system. The Reserve Bank of India, the central bank of the country, is at the apex of the banking structure in India. Now, let us see regarding to indigenous banker. First of all, let us see the definition regarding to indigenous banker. Any individual or private firm receiving deposits and dealing in hundis or lending money or subjected to know as indigenous banker. This definition was given by Indian Central Banking Enquiry Committee. Let us see what does an indigenous banker mean. The indigenous bankers occupy an important place in the Indian financial system. From ancient times, indigenous bankers lend money, act as money chargers, and finance internal trade by means of internal bills of exchange. The business of indigenous bankers is generally a family concern. With their own capital, they grant loans against securities such as gold, jewelry, land, promissory notes, etc. They also buy and sell remittances and discount hundis. The indigenous bankers do not have any contact with other sections of the banking world. They combine banking with trading business. They generally deal with agricultures and small traders. The interest rate charged by them is higher than the interest rate charged by other banking institutions. In spite of all these defects, the indigenous bankers occupy a prominent position in money market. According to Reserve Bank of India, about 50% of internal trade is financed by these indigenous bankers. The Banking Commission has pointed out that they are much sought after because of their flexibility, absence of formalities, and promptness. The Commission has noted that if they are linked with the Reserve Bank, the entire financial system in the country will get strengthened. Indigenous bankers constitute the ancient banking system of India. They have been carrying on their age-old banking operations in different parts of country under different names. In Chennai, these bankers are called Chettis. In North India, Shokars, Mahajans and Khatens. In Mumbai, Shroffs and Marwaris. And in Bengal, Seths and Banyas. According to Indian Central Banking Enquiry Commission Committee, an indigenous banker is an individual or private firm which receives deposits in hundis or engages itself in lending money. The indigenous bankers can be divided into three categories. First of all, those who deal only in banking business. Very good example here we can take as Multani bankers. Secondly, those who combine banking business with trade. Example, Marwaris and Bengalis. Finally, we got those who deal mainly in trade and have limited banking business. The indigenous banker is different from the money lender. The money lender is not a banker. His business is only to lend money from his own funds. The indigenous banker, on the other hand, lends and accepts funds from public. Indigenous bankers are private firms or individuals who operate as banks and as such both receive deposits and give loans. Like banks, they are also financial intermediaries. They should be distinguished professional money lenders who whose primary business is not banking but money lending. Here we got the functions of indigenous banker. With the growth of joint stock banking in the country, the activities of indigenous bankers have declined considerably. Still, these bankers have control over a good deal of financial business. The popularity of indigenous bankers is mainly due to some reasons. They provide prompt and flexible credit. They give loans to the small productive units not fully catered by the commercial banks. They have cordial relationship with customers. They keep close contact with their customers and remain fully acquainted with their problems and financial requirements. They are not merely bankers to their customers but are also their friends and advisors. Here we got another four major functions of indigenous bankers like accepting deposit, advancing loans, business in hundis, non-banking functions. Let us see one by one. Accepting deposits. The indigenous bankers accept deposit from the public. These deposits are of two types: the deposits which are repayable on demand and the deposits which are repayable after a fixed period. The indigenous bankers pay higher rate of interest than that paid by commercial banks. Advancing loans. The indigenous bankers advance loans to their customers against all types of securities such as land, crops, gold, and silver. They also give credit against personal security. They provide loans to small industrialists who cannot fulfill the necessary loan conditions of commercial banks. Business in hundis. The indigenous banker deals in hundis. They write hundis and buy and sell hundis. They also discount hundis and thereby meet the financial needs of internal trade. They also transfer funds from one place to another through discounting of hundis. Students, hundis are nothing but bills of exchange in nowadays. Finally, we got non-banking functions. Most of the indigenous bankers also carry on their non-banking business along with the banking activities. They generally have their retail trading business. Sometimes they act as agents to large commercial firms and earn income in the form of commission. They also participate in speculative activities. These are the major functions of indigenous bankers. Here we got characteristics of indigenous bankers. Indigenous bankers accept deposits and deal in hundis. Modern bankers do not deal in hundis but in bills of exchange. These kind of bankers use their own capital for conducting their lending activities. Deposits form only a small part of their working capital, while a modern banker relies largely on deposit for his business. Operations of indigenous bankers are free from formalities and delays. Their business hours are flexible. A modern banker deals in a formal way only. In comparison with a modern banker, indigenous banking establishments are small and economical. As against modern joint stock commercial banks, the business of indigenous banker is carried on as a family concern with their own working capital. Indigenous bankers provide finance to the trades, artisans, as well as small industrialists but give no direct loans to the agriculturists. Indigenous bankers do not have any formal banking education. They conduct business on the basis of their experience. Indigenous bankers maintain simple accounts in vernacular language. Students, vernacular language is nothing but their own mother tongue language. Indigenous bankers have a thorough knowledge about the family history of their customers and all details regarding their business and financial standing. These bankers keep a close watch over the activities of the borrowers. Indigenous bankers are keen on maintaining their business reputation, unlike non-professional money lenders. They have a high sense of responsibility and profit motive. As such, they command prestige and great confidence among the trade circles and the borrowers. Unlike a modern banker, indigenous bankers lend on the mortgage of land, houses, etc. They also draw and discount hundis, darnishi or mudati. It is nothing but demand or issuance of bill. The discounting rate charged by them is called the bazaar rate. It is nothing but what the rate is going on in the market, the rate will be considered. Finally, a majority of indigenous bankers combine banking business with trading and speculative activity based on a common capital fund employed by them. However, Multanis of Bombay and Chettiars of Madras stick to banking business only. These are the characteristics of indigenous banker. Students, there are some merits of indigenous bankers. Let us see one by one. These kind of bankers mix banking and non-banking business. The indigenous bankers generally combine banking on non-banking business. This is against the principle of sound banking system. This kind of banking system is completely unorganized system. The indigenous bankers is highly unorganized and segmented. Different indigenous bankers operate separately and independently. They have no coordination with each other and have no link with other banking sectors. The transfer of funds is not possible in such a system. Next, insufficient capital. The indigenous bankers largely depend upon their own capital or that of their family members or relatives. The financial resources of these bankers therefore are insufficient to meet the demand of the borrowers. Next, mega deposit business. The main business of indigenous bankers is to give loans and deal in hundis. Their deposit business is very small. They do not mobilize savings of general public. Next, higher interest rates. The indigenous bankers charge much higher interest rate from their borrowers than that charged by the commercial banks. Higher rates of interest adversely affect inducements to produce. Next, defective lending. The indigenous bankers generally do not follow the sound banking principles while granting loans. They provide loans against insufficient securities or even against personal securities. They also extend credit against immovable properties. They also do not distinguish between short term as well as long term loans. Next, unproductive loans. The indigenous bankers do not pay attention to the purpose for which the loan is used. They generally give money for unproductive and speculative activities, for paying interest or for paying off debt loans. Next, secrecy of accounts. The indigenous bankers keep secrecy about their accounts and activities. They neither get their accounts audited nor publish annual balance sheets. This raises suspicion in the minds of people. Next, exploitation of customers. The indigenous bankers indulge in all types of malpractices and exploit their customers in many ways. Next, no control of Reserve Bank. The indigenous banking business is unregulated. The Reserve Bank of India has no control over these bankers and cannot regulate their activities. Finally, discouragement to bill market. The indigenous bankers also stand in the way of developing a proper bill market in the country. They very often give cash loans and hundis play a small role. These are the advantages regarding to indigenous bankers. Students, behind merits, there are some drawbacks regarding to indigenous bankers. These bankers combine non-banking activities along with banking, business, and commission agency. Many of them undertake speculative activities. Most of them maintain a traditional system of accounts in their own language. They do not pay the required attention to deposit banking. They have failed to tap and mobilize rural savings effectively. Particularly, these are unorganized sectors. They hardly make any distinction between the purpose of borrowing and short term and long term finance. They have no regular contact with commercial banks. As compared to organized financial agencies, they charge very high rate of interest for loans. They keep informal business relation. A bulk of their business is based on cash transaction rather than hundis. A majority of them are conservative in approach and attitude. Despite these drawbacks, the role of indigenous bankers in India cannot be underestimated. Students, in this session, we have learned regarding to the definition, function, characteristics, advantages and disadvantages of indigenous bankers. I hope you have enjoyed the video a lot and thanks for watching the video. Thank you.